Movies. Oh, yes. Party peoples. Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of BrassReel Tonight, where we talk about everything coming out to the big screen, everything coming out at home to stream, and all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate everybody, all my friends, all my 6 fans, all that stuff. We don't have a lot of crazy stuff going on in the news today, except we are going to have a lot of Matrix talk. And I'm going to do a little rehashing of what we got to look forward to this coming fall, which is essentially turning out to be almost doubly better than the summer. And I loved some of the stuff that came out in the summer. And I understand pandemic, movies are shifting left and right. We don't know exactly when they're going to come out. But really, if everything keeps its schedule as of right now, the fall is going to be just literally 2 times, 3 times, 4 times better than the summer was as far as the movies that are coming out, what I'm excited about. But if you guys can't watch the show live and you're not able to comment on it during the show, please feel free to send any comments or anything to brassreelbobby@gmail.com. Got anything you want me to discuss? Any questions you got about some upcoming movies or just theories, anything like that? Send it to brassreelbobby@gmail.com or comment in on the live show as well. Always want to get involved with the community, get some rapport working. So please chime in. Excuse me. Well, guys, yesterday, about 20 minutes before the show started, before I started really getting everything organized to where I couldn't change anything else on like the thumbnail or anything about the show advertisement wise, we had that Matrix news come out about the trailer, and it was a teaser trailer for the trailer coming out tomorrow. So look, the Matrix clock has started. Everybody's excited about it. And the fact that they are only advertising it a few months before it's coming out, you know what I'm saying? The clock has started. The train's left the station. However, whatever phrasing you want to, use, the sandwiches are out of the picnic basket. Now I'm just getting ridiculous. So I'm going to be talking about that in Spider-Man No Way Home a lot, just because those are two movies that are really exciting that were just like, I can't believe they're making these movies. One of them I'm truly excited about. The other one I'm definitely curious about, being The Matrix. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like I don't like The Matrix by any means. I love The Matrix. I own the trilogy. I own the Animatrix, all that stuff. All on Blu-ray. But I just have to be honest. I'm just curious. This movie, part 4, unless they have some other awesome trilogy planned, which they might. They've been pretty vague about all this. It's just, I was fine with the trilogy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that Indiana Jones part 4. It's like, why'd you do that? And why are you doing a 5th one? Yeah, I own the 4th Indiana Jones, and I'm going to watch this Matrix, and I'll buy it regardless. And hopefully it's great. I'd love for it to be great. I'm just not sold that it was like, oh, I have to see this movie. Or even then, as a producer, if I was a studio exec, I don't know immediately if they're just like Matrix 4, if I'm just like, oh, I have to see this. Because, well, it is about making money. To me, you got to find that happy medium of making money while creating good art. If you can create super good art that sells well, then you got stuff that's timeless. Like Back to the Future, things like that. So I just hope that it goes the route of necessity rather than shoving it down your throat. But we got a lot of new picks today. And if the first pick of this yesterday, I honestly thought this was from a John Wick movie, but this isn't. This is from The Matrix. And he's keeping the beard. And, my buddy Esmaniac brought this up. He was like, oh, it looks like he had to keep his contract. John Wick wouldn't let him shave the beard off. And that's kind of the way it worked with Henry Cavill with Justice League when he did that. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure you do. But in the Whedon cut at the very beginning and the entire movie, they had this CGI'd mustache or CGI'd lip because he wasn't allowed to shave his mustache, which is still, to this day, the most asinine thing I've ever heard for anything. I mean, I get that his mustache needed to be real in Mission Impossible, but that's just, anyways. But that CG was so bad that, it was just ridiculous. It didn't ruin the movie, but it was one of the things that ruined the movie. But it is kind of funny that he's keeping that same beard from John Wick, and he's got the long hair. And it's like he never had long hair in the other Matrix movies. So the fact that he's got it in this one's kind of interesting because he does look like John Wick. However, we're getting some more pictures here. We got this one. And, that's definitely him making some sort of Matrix symbol, or I don't know what he's doing. But then we've got this one, which is this is where the theories start to come into play. And you start to think, all right, what does this actually mean? So that's obviously Keanu looking in a mirror, or he's by a mirror, and he's by himself and he's looking at his hand. But in that mirror reflection, we see an older man like losing his hair, and he's got gray and all this stuff. I can't tell if that's Keanu made up in the mirror. I can't tell if that's supposed to be someone else in the mirror. You never know with the Matrix, how they alter things and connect things and what it is. But I'm just curious to what we do know. They're doing the amnesia thing. And in 2 times that I've said that to my buddy as Maniac, he said he's already bored, which, I mean, that doesn't bother me. I mean, we'll just have to see why they have an amnesia. I mean, if it's just, again, I think we're going to know from the get-go, right when this movie starts, if it's going to be groundbreaking in quality. Like, I think we're going to know in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, all right, this is a straight, just they made a part for us so they could make one. Or it's going to be like, okay, dude, they got something here. I see what they're doing. Let's roll with this and enjoy this movie. Hopefully that's what it's going to be. I can't help but have a negative taste in my mouth about the whole idea of it. But we do have some other things that are very familiar. Remember the scene in part 1 with Carrie Ann Moss in there, and they come to grab her and she does the whole flying kick thing. Well, looks like that same scenario, but it's obviously somebody different. They've got braids in their hair. I'm just hoping they don't do like they did with Star Trek when they remade that with J.J. Abrams, which I liked that for that movie and for that whole franchise, what they call the Kelvin timeline in Star Trek, with that newer with Chris Pine and all that stuff. I liked the way they did that little change around so they didn't ruin and erase the other movies, and they even kept them a part of the timeline and didn't just make this Star Trek a reboot. It actually created a storyline to where they started over. Kind of like the way they introduce things in the comic books. They'll create an event like in the New 52 for DC. They'll create an event that happens that alters time and everything sort of starts over. And, if they do something like that in this, I guess that's okay. That seems like it's been done before, just like I was just talking about. And that's the only thing I can think of if they're going back to pictures like I just showed you with Trinity or whoever this is in this seat. I don't know. Are they going to change things and be like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be? I don't know. And is Neo going to be a loner in this? Is that Neo or is that somebody? I mean, I think it's Neo. It looks like long hair. It doesn't look like a hoodie. So I kind of get that vibe from this too. From this shot right here, I kind of feel like that there might be some loner stuff going on. And when I say loner, I mean he's by himself. He's in a world that's confusing. He's got amnesia because they said that they're doing that. And on top of that, he already was Neo. He already was the one. He was like this loner figure being, whatever you want to call him. And that's another thing. When is this movie taking place? I mean, there's cars in this picture. You know what I'm saying? There's cars driving around that even look like older 90s cars. So is this going back in time? Are they doing like the Star Trek thing where they're going to try to connect some sort of thread that changes? Because remember with part 3, you see, what's her Oracle? You see the Oracle. And yes, the person in real life died that was playing the lady that really was playing her in real life died. So they had to change her over for the sequels. That worked, I guess, because of the way they could explain the Matrix. But I don't want them to start just doing things in the Matrix trilogy or the franchise, excuse me, to just do it because they say, oh, we can do it because it's the Matrix. And because if they just use that as an excuse, oh, it's the Matrix, anything can happen, to just do anything and alter things and just to expect you as an audience member to just accept it, I think that's weak. And that's something that was kind of weak about not having the Oracle be the same actor in the second one and the third one. Now, I get that the Oracle was a big part of the storyline, and that makes sense because she was a big deal in the first movie. I just think there could have been a way that you could have done it better. I don't know. And or the way you explained it, it was just kind of, oh, okay. It was an upgrade or something because everybody else stayed exactly the same. And I don't think that we're going to get an Agent Smith in this. But you know, what's so funny is that we're so used to him being called Neo, right? That I forget about, and I'm looking for the shot here, and maybe I didn't download it. I thought that I had downloaded the proper shot, but I had a shot of him with some pill bottles, and he was holding up a pill bottle, and it said Anderson on there. And, you know, I forget that his name was Anderson sometimes because I'm just so used to thinking of him as Neo. But then obviously, you know, Mr. Anderson. So when you see that thing like that, Anderson and everything like that, and if they can change certain people like Oracle, and also if they can just bring Neo back to life, remember he died, he sacrificed himself. And again, that's where I start to just be like, ah. But so if they can do all that, who's to say they wouldn't bring Agent Smith back? Now, is he going to do that? I'm not sure that Hugo Weaving even wants to be a part of the franchise anymore. He's really weird. He didn't want to be a part of Marvel at all anymore. Didn't want to be a part of the Avengers franchise. I mean, I understand he didn't really enjoy the makeup, and he said that was grueling to do for Captain America, but every movie that they do with those movies, the makeup and the costumes get easier and they find better ways to do it. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a shitty reason not to be a part of something just because you think it's grueling. But, you know, who am I to say? I've never done one of these movies. I mean, I remember Wolverine talking about or Hugh Jackman talking about when he was doing the Wolverine character in general, but especially when he was doing the solo films because he had more screen time on those. He was waking up every morning and he was saying to his wife, he was just like, I just want to quit. I'm thinking about quitting. I'll pay him back their money and all this stuff. And of course, his wife would tell him, no, you can't do that. You got to keep going. But I understand that some of that stuff can be just really painful after a while. But I feel like for such a big deal and it's something that will last forever, like getting off on a little side shoot, but I'm still talking about the Matrix and the way they're changing characters around or just doing things like bringing people back to life just like that. Neo, you know, imagine though in Captain America obviously we had the Red Skull in the first movie. It was Hugo Weaving. Imagine how great it would have been in Infinity War when they go to the planet and they're, you know, Hawkeye and Black Widow are visiting the Red Skull. He's there. That's where he resides now. And for some reason, I always draw a blank on what the name of that planet is or what that realm is. But how cool would that have been if that would have been Hugo Weaving? Yes, the guy that played him did a good job and it was believable. And I still saw Red Skull. I was still involved and it's like, oh, this is great. But how cool would it have been if it had been Hugo Weaving? And even then, it's like that was just a few seconds on screen, maybe like a minute that character had on screen, maybe more. I'm not sure, but it wasn't much. I don't know. It just is disappointing that it was somebody different, but it still worked fine. That didn't ruin it. Anyways, if Neo can come back, why can't Agent Smith come back? Just that's what I'm saying. Will they do it? Will they not do it? And then you got the whole thing of neither of the no one that did the original one is technically doing this one anymore because it's Lana Wachowski, not Larry Wachowski. And then the other brother who also had a sex change, they're not, he or she, they aren't even a part of this movie anymore. So it's just Lana Wachowski doing this movie and written and directed by, that just seems like a tall order. You had your brother or sister on it with you the last two or the last three. And this one now it's just you. That's another thing. I didn't look up this. Is Joel Silver, and I'm going to look it up right now. I wonder, is Joel Silver producing the new Matrix? Because he was one of the parts of the original one. He produced the original Matrix. Let's see. Joel Silver producing Matrix 4. We'll find out right now. It just says Matrix 4 in the works with Keanu Reeves and Lana Wachowski. Yeah, it doesn't look like Joel Silver's a part of it or anything. Now, I could be wrong, and I could be looking at some of the wrong information, but that'd be, I just thought if I remember correctly, he was a big part of that other one. But, and for some reason, I might be drawing a blank on that. I could be completely wrong. Looks like I got somebody tuning in here in the comments. So my buddy Brian says right here, he's like, it's all software. Who says their parts have to be in the real world? They could just exist in the Matrix. It's Tron, but with a lot of black clothing. I mean, that's true. They could do that. But I thought if they died in the Matrix, they died in real life. And didn't he die in real, you know what I'm saying? He was getting all bloodied up. Like if something bad happens to him in the Matrix, they're all while they're plugged in. But I mean, I don't know. That's where it starts to become like that you start getting yourself in a loop of talking about the logistics of it all, because for one, we don't, while this could be a matrix that we live in, I'm not taking that away from anybody, but at this point, it's kind of like the time travel thing. We don't have any real proof. Again, I'm not that person. I like believing in aliens and everything else and all that stuff. And I want time travel to exist, and I want the Matrix to exist. But at this point, I'm not sure how that all operates. And it all depend on how they explain it in the movie. They could explain it fine. If that's the other thing. If the story is good enough, certain things of logic and little things like that, you can suspend disbelief with easier because it's so good. You can find holes in Back to the Future. You can. Or the thing like Big Bang Theory. I think this is hilarious on Big Bang Theory when they talk about Indiana Jones or the Raiders of the Lost Ark and how much they love that movie. It's the best movie of all time. And then I don't know if it's one of the girls or one of their friends or something that's just wanting to dog on the movie for them, says that, well, isn't the movie pointless though for Indiana Jones to do anything in there anyways? And they're like, why? It's like, because weren't they just going to find the Ark to begin with and open it up at the end and then they all die anyways? So isn't that what happened at the end of the movie? They didn't really get it. It's just, it shatters all their dreams about Indiana Jones. They're just like, oh, I love that. So, I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to be, pick it apart to where it ruins anything. Like I said, if the story is good enough, just like in Indiana Jones, you don't care about that stuff. Same thing with Back to the Future. If the story and everything is good enough and it's done well enough, it's just not gonna matter, in my opinion. But if the story's not good enough and it's not a reason to be told, then you pick apart all those things way harder. So as Maniac is typing in right now, Neo wasn't the first though. I think the humans are clones as it is just fuel for the bots. So what do you think about that, B-Dub? Says that's a good theory. Okay. Now we got a little chatter going on here. I'd never thought about that, but that is a good point. That is a real good point. So now so are we going to have is this going to be a bot movie again? Or are we not going to see any of that? Because even here, and I haven't even gotten to some of the pictures that really are the ones that are intriguing to me, but we've got Keanu right here. Excuse me. Yeah. Right here. Like, this is interesting. I've tried to analyze this pic right here. That's him about to jump off of something or jump, like Morpheus, when they jump across the buildings and all that stuff. And look, it's got a Matrixy vibe right there for sure. I'm not going to deny that. You got the lens flares going on with the sun shining up against the cameras. You see all that. I mean, it looks Matrixy. And all these people are like, do these people know who he is? Or are they just afraid he's about to jump off? But they're all like gathered to the side. So something went down here. But is it going to be just a loner situation where he's trying to escape stuff again? Is he aware? Is he starting off just like he did in part one? I don't know. And the other thing that is curious to me is if all these people are coming back. Oh, Brian says, I think he's taking a leap of faith, kind of like Indiana Jones. Nice. That's nice. I love it. I'm getting chills over here with all these comments. But Morpheus isn't in this movie. Now, why would they bring back Trinity? Why would they bring back Trinity and Neo and not Morpheus? And I understand that Lawrence Fishburne doesn't need to do this anymore. He's a little older than them. He's a little bit more out of shape. He's doing other things and as successful as that. And in fact, I think he is supposed to be somehow or another in Ant-Man Quantumania. I don't know if it's a flashback or something like, because he was an Ant-Man and the Wasp. Anyways, I know that he's probably not even interested in doing it. Maybe he is. Maybe he really wanted to, but I feel like that Yahya Abdul-Mateen is going to be Morpheus. And he's looking in the mirror right here, all confused. And it's all like yellowy green, matrixy looking. And he's looking in the mirror right here, all confused. Like, who am I? Or why do I look like this? And like I said, if they changed Oracle, why wouldn't they do that? And get this guy, first off, he's a hot commodity right now. He's a great actor. You know, he's super muscular, all that. And he kind of looks like Lawrence Fishburne in a way. Maybe it's a younger one. And that's another thing. When you're looking at some of this stuff, like all these cars down here driving at the bottom, is this going to take place in 97, 96, 97, 98? When did Matrix first one come out? Now I'm drawing a blank. Is he going to like kind of reboot things and start things in a different order, you know, 2.0 or something, but still back in the same time? Because like I said, it slightly looks like, it doesn't look like it's in the future by any means. And it definitely doesn't look like it's in a dystopian area. And if you look at like this picture right here, you look at the cars in the background, those don't look like new cars. They look more like 90s car. Like that almost looks like an Explorer or something right there. Maybe I'm wrong. It's still blurry and everything like that. It could be modern times. Could be today. But I'm just curious if he's going to be Morpheus or not. I got some comments here. Really bad parkour. Because as Maniac said, maybe he's learned parkour. And then also, as Maniac says that, hey, Carrie-Anne Moss was in Supergirl. She'll take any role. Yeah, whatever happened? Why hadn't she gotten anything outside of like Memento? I mean, I know she's been in some stuff. I think I remember her being someone's mom in a movie. And it was like a thriller or a horror movie of some sort. But yeah, I feel like that she like had things going for her, but maybe the Matrix, she just got branded as Trinity. Maybe everybody just, that's all they could see is Trinity now. I mean, I know that she's got a very definitive look to her. She's not like a girl that you can get mixed up with anyone. Like Carrie-Anne Moss is Carrie-Anne Moss. That's who she looks like. But so the reason I'm saying that about Morpheus is that, look at this picture, and that's Yahya Abdul-Mateen being materialized, manifesting out of nothing or out of something, out of a machine. That's another thing. Are they going to show a different thing now when they plug in? Is it going to manifest some different way? I don't know. Never seen this in another Matrix movie, but in every Matrix sequel from 2, then 3, we saw different things and different characters we had never seen before. I don't know why. I just have this eerie feeling that he's going to be Morpheus for some reason. And maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe there's even information that I haven't even looked at that I just should be looking at, but you know, there's only so much I can read a day. Oh, B-Dub says she was in Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Luke Cage on Netflix. You know, I didn't watch Luke Cage much. I mean, I watched some of it, but it just wasn't pulling me in. I definitely watched Daredevil, but for some reason, I don't remember who she was on there. But I watched so much stuff. And I will say this. I haven't drank in a long time. When I first started watching Daredevil, like especially the first 2 seasons, I was a drinker. There's a lot of stuff that's foggy in that time that I got to rewatch. Now, if it was a movie that I'd watched a couple times over, then it committed to memory properly. But Daredevil, I only watched that one time. So I'm talking about the show. So I gotta reset. I feel like I just got something over here mixed up. Sorry. Anyways, but I had this feeling that he's Morpheus. Like I said, I could be wrong. I'm not sure at all. Just had this weird feeling. But I've been wrong about stuff before, but I've also been right about stuff before. Watch people take that to be just like, you are wrong about Morpheus. You don't know shit. Well, moving on, guys. That's all I'm really going to talk. Oh, yeah. What about this guy, though? Who's this dude? This is one of those things as far as about talking about different characters. We always see weird characters in the different sequels and stuff like that. Like we had the blending, vanishing, morphing albino twins in part 2. Feel like they had something different in part 3. Part 3, they had the people walking on the ceilings and stuff like that. But look at this guy. I mean, it looks like he's talking, but boy, what if you got a yawn? That sucks, huh? Now we could be seeing something occurring and happening right there, like his mouth being shut or something like, oh God. But I just think it looks interesting. Kind of looks like a mix between the guy in Flash and Huey on The Boys, Jack Quaid. Anyways, well, moving on, guys. I'm not going to talk about The Matrix the entire time. I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit because, look, it is The Matrix, arguably one of the more popular franchise. At least it's well known. Some people don't like what they did with the sequels. Some people love it. Some people are like me, that they're good enough. They're still not as good as the first movie, though. But like I said, I would have been fine with this 3. However, I'm going to be talking about this and looking forward to everything every day, seeing if they're putting new stuff out for The Matrix. So we'll probably be having a lot more shows about that for sure. But a new trailer that has come out recently, and it's just a teaser that kind of had me enthralled a little, is Guilty. And it's coming straight to Netflix with Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, outside of him doing like Mysterio for Spider-Man Far From Home, recently Gyllenhaal's been on this kind of obscure film train, and I like it. I've liked the way he's gone. I'm sure you guys saw Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was really good. I loved that movie. I thought that was something that was well needed in the industry. I didn't expect what I was going to see. I thought I knew what I was going to go see, and once I walked out of the theater, I was like, not at all what I was expecting, but it was way better. And then he did another movie that was called the Velvet Chainsaw or Velvet Buzzsaw. And I don't know why I always draw a blank on that, but it was another straight to Netflix movie, and it was directed by the same guy who did Nightcrawler. Yeah, it's called the Velvet Buzzsaw, and that's him right here in this movie right there. And look, it's one of those movies when I first saw it, first started watching it, I was kind of like, all right, what is this? This is all right. What, not that. And then all of a sudden it starts taking these twists and turns to where it's kind of like a neo giallo film, more of a modern giallo film, kind of that Italian horror vibe. Not really, not fully, but it has elements of that throughout. If you like giallo and you watch that movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But this movie Guilty is supposed to be along sort of the same lines of it. However, it's just a teaser. It doesn't give you anything. But if you look at all these little words just wrapped up that create his face right there, it's sort of this little weird mosaic of words creating his face. It's pretty mentioned. It's pretty interesting. It just has all kinds of things like, yes, no, I'm going to die, emergency, careful, I don't know. I know you called us, the person you're, I mean, it's just kind of crazy things that make your brain start thinking. So the teaser tells you nothing, but I am excited about this movie coming out because I think Gyllenhaal is an excellent actor. I think he can cover all realms. He can do big budget stuff. He can do indie stuff. He can really exercise his chops, or he can just be kind of that pretty dude. He's a good looking guy too. Like he really just has it all. And he's jacked up too. He's in great shape. Yes, he's had some missteps like Prince of Persia. That was a little bit of a offshoot right there. But for the most part, he makes some really good movies. And I've never seen a movie where I haven't at least enjoyed his performance in. Like outside of Prince of Persia. I want to reiterate that one. Everything, Donnie Darko, I think it's a great movie. It really is. I personally don't think it's as awesome as some people do. Some people are just like, man, Donnie Darko is amazing. I don't know if it's amazing in my eyes. I think it's really good. But I love the soundtrack, and I think he does a really good job in that movie. And it definitely has that eerie feeling with the bunny, the whole Greg the Rabbit or whatever. All that is very interesting. But I wasn't. Some of the people I know are just like obsessed with Donnie Darko, and I think it is great. But I think he was really good in it, and I think that because of that movie is really why he got lifted off the ground. because everything I've seen him in recently, he does a really good job in it. He can really act. So we'll see if this movie, I mean, Netflix, sometimes their movies are really good. Sometimes they're okay, but I've never seen a movie on Netflix that's just blown me away. The best movie I think I've seen on Netflix was The Devil All the Time, personally. The best Netflix original. To me, that's the best one I've seen on there with Tom Holland, and it's got William Skarsgård. It's got a bunch of other people that you'd recognize in it. Jason Clarke. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Some people said that they thought it was kind of overrated. For some reason, it hit me, struck with me the right way. And sometimes movies do that. That's all right too. Sometimes movies just don't hit with people and connect with people the way that they might connect with you. I mean, there's so many movies that I just can't. Show people, like my stepdad, especially. I'll show him something and he's like, man, it was all right. And I'm like, really? I just don't understand how you're not moved differently by that. But it's the same thing like music. Sometimes music just hits you a certain way. And if that same music that hits me and just hits me every time, I might let somebody else listen to it and they think it's shit. So I guess the same thing can happen with movies. But it's a little more confusing with me on movies than it is with music. Music, I think it makes more sense, but movies, sometimes I'm like, how do you not like this? But I need to be better and I just understand. But speaking of good actors, we got another thing right here that's we hadn't seen old DiCaprio in a while, and Jennifer Lawrence, and they got this new one coming out that's called Don't Look Up, and the trailer just released for this morning. I watched it. Very vague, but it's directed by Adam McKay. If you guys don't know who he is, he did The Big Short, he did Vice, but he's also the same guy that done Anchorman and Anchorman 2 and like movies like Step Brothers. Him and Will Ferrell are really good friends. And so that's why they do all these movies together. But he also just paved his way and became a really solid director in the industry and claimed a name for himself. Now he's like Oscar director. Well, it looks pretty good. It looks politically driven. It also looks like world disaster driven as far as natural disaster. It's involving like an asteroid or a meteor coming to the earth, but it's not like Deep Impact or Armageddon or anything like that. It's very real, and it shows them trying. It looks like that DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are analysts of some sort or scientists of some sort, and they're really trying to convince the president and his staff that we got to do something right now. And it's not even a time to like cover it up and not tell the world. We got to do something. This is crazy. But it, again, doesn't look like Deep Impact or Armageddon. It looks better than that. And if it's directed by Adam McKay, I have a little bit of faith that this could be a decent movie. Like maybe one of the better Netflix films out there, maybe better than the Devil All the Time for me. Because Adam McKay does do good movies. I'm not going to take that away from him. My problem with Netflix movies and Amazon movies, while their shows are awesome, and I've said this a lot, their shows are always good, I just don't know if they're nailing that cinematic quality yet for film. And the same thing goes for Hulu. Hulu's movies, while their shows are good, Hulu's movies sometimes I'm just like, I can tell this is a Hulu movie. Netflix, most of the time, I can tell this is a Netflix movie, and Amazon, same thing. So hopefully with Adam McKay directing, this could be a good deal. The only movie I feel like that really didn't feel Netflixy was The Irishman. But look, hate me if you will, I was disappointed with The Irishman. It is by far my favorite movie. Excuse me, by far not my favorite movie by Scorsese. I mean, it's down. There's so many of his movies I think are way better than that film. I just don't think it was all that. I think that it was more of an actor party rather than, hey, we have something that's really awesome that needs to be told. Because like Wolf of Wall Street, to me, that's my favorite Scorsese film, better than Goodfellas. Goodfellas is a number 2, a close second, but I just think Wolf of Wall Street is unbelievably entertaining. Like it's a joy. I can't believe that you're on that such of a roller coaster ride about a dude who was just committing Wall Street fraud his whole life. I mean, it's just so enjoyable. And I love Goodfellas. Don't get me wrong. Goodfellas, like I said, is a close. I mean, if Wall Street is a 10, Goodfellas is a 9.999999. You know what I mean? So I like Leo, and I want him to do a good movie like this. And with Adam McKay behind it, coming out on Netflix, maybe it'll be the best one yet. I have faith in it because of the team behind it. I just hope it doesn't feel like a Netflix movie. Well, moving on though, got some, let's see, what do we have next here? All right. So you guys familiar with Secret Invasion? Because it's coming out. It just started production. And if you guys aren't familiar with the Secret Invasion, that involves the Skrulls, and it's the MC universe here. And this is going to be a show from what I understand, but the Skrulls were the bad guy, or so you thought, until you realize he was a good guy in Captain Marvel. The green dudes with the ears and all that, they shapeshift. And it's this dude right here. Now, if you remember at the end of Captain Marvel, at the end of Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, that whole time Nick Fury is in the movie. But I remember even when I was watching that movie, I was thinking to myself, man, Nick Fury's just like going with a bunch of stuff and he's just accepting all these things. Why would he believe this guy? Just doesn't seem like the sharp, quick-witted, smart Nick Fury that you know from all the other movies. Well, then it turns out at the end that it was this guy the whole time on the right, and he was just faking being Nick Fury. And the whole time Nick Fury's up in that little space station, and that's what you should see at the end of Far From Home. Nick Fury's waking up, and then it's like, all right, it's time to do my thing. And he's like looking out over space. Well, that's sword. Instead of shield, that's sword. And that's like more of a galactic, while shield is like to protect Earth, sword is to protect the galaxy. I mean, that's what the intention is. So the fact that they're doing a Secret Invasion film is pretty exciting because this is a huge thing in the comic books. This is a big crossover event in the comic books where all the characters are involved. Because, the comic books have their own, like Wolverine has his own storylines all the time, his own single storylines. So do the X-Men. So does Captain America and Thor and all them. But they also have major events that come together that are these crossover events. Civil War was one of them. House of M was one of them. Secret War is one of them. But Secret Invasion is one of them as well. And so in the comics, it's a Skrull invasion, to where you don't know who's a human and who's a Skrull. They start impersonating everybody, including superheroes. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do this. They are making it into a show, which I'm glad that they're doing that. I'm just wondering what it's going to lead up to. And I'm pretty sure that you're still going to have the good Skrulls. This guy right here, I can't ever remember his name. He's still going to be a good guy in it. And he has a clan of people that are good people. So think of it like this. The Skrulls are just like planet Earth. Planet Earth, you have humans that are good and you have humans that are bad. Skrulls the same way. You have certain factions that mean no harm, and you have other factions that mean a lot of harm. So I feel like this is a big deal for the universe, especially going forward, since they're doing a lot more cosmic stuff going forward with the Marvels, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Thor, Love and Thunder. You got Quantum Mania coming out, which is going to have Kang the Conqueror as the villain. So with this being said, I mean, everybody's saying that they're also leaning to start doing like some Warlock stuff. I mean, they said that they're going more cosmic with the movies right now because they've done the street level superhero stuff for a while. This is getting real cosmic, with Fantastic Four and X-Men coming into play, the Doctor Strange, multiverse, Loki, all that stuff. You can tell it's getting cosmic. So I just feel like Secret Invasion is leading up to something big. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a really solid show. And I feel like that this is going to be one of the more important Marvel shows. Not that they're not all important, and they are in their own ways, but like WandaVision was set up to sort of get you to know those characters of Wanda and Vision better and to bring Monica Rambeau in. Loki was there to, I think, be a little bit more important to the universe and sort of explain the idea of multiverses existing. But it was also a big character study of Loki. It really dove into the character of him and who he was. And, we found out that he's bi at that point and all that stuff. Falcon and Winter Soldier was just trying to do the Captain America thing with John Walker so they could get to him, Sam becoming Captain America. That was just a transition show. But I feel like Secret Invasion is going to set up something that's big for everyone in the universe, if that makes any sense. So I'm just really excited about what this might entail. And think of this. And remember, Nick Fury is the guy that's kind of like all these guys' boss in a weird way. Not all of them, but a lot of the heroes, he's kind of their boss. So for him to be in this show, because that just tells me that this show might be a little bit more significant than some of the other shows as far as to the overarching story. Like I said, the other ones, you were either getting to know the characters or getting those characters in a place, getting them to either being Sam being Captain America, you finding out who Wanda and Vision truly are, and Vision now there's the White Vision. You know, I mean, yeah, they're setting up things, but I think Secret Invasion is going to really affect everybody in the universe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just excited about it. And the fact that it started production, really exciting. And the other thing is that we know, and I'm going to talk about this now since the movie's been out. I mean, it's been out for tomorrow. It'll be a week, but there is, and I'm not going to talk about the plot line of the movie, but there is a post-credit scene that doesn't have anything to do with the movie, but there is a post-credit scene in Shang-Chi, and it's Wong. And Wong comes and makes a little circle while he's dining at this, like while Katie and Shang-Chi are dining at this restaurant. They're chilling. Katie's is Awkwafina's character. And Wong comes in and makes the, you know, the Doctor Strange spark circle where he's coming from a different time and a different area. And he's opening it up and he's like, you need to come with me, both of y'all. And then they go in there at the end and then they're talking to some other Avengers. I'm not going to even say who it is, but they're talking to some other Avengers in there. And they're like, look, we got to get these rings under control. And obviously that's a way to tie it in bigger. That's a way for them to fully tie Shang-Chi into the rest of the universe. He's a part of the Avengers now, basically, you know, unofficially, because they are at a place to where they're talking to real Avengers. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're being acknowledged by Avengers. So I feel like that he's fully in there now, but the question is how are they really going to use him? And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, because these rings are a big deal. Shang-Chi's culture is a big deal. So I'm wondering if Shang-Chi is going to show up in Eternals, and it could be even just a post scene. Is this movie going to connect directly to Spider-Man No Way Home, or is it just going to do something to set up for something bigger? But they mentioned Thanos in Eternals. They mentioned how this is bigger than we knew in the past, and that's why that we've never shown up until this point. We've never needed to, but something's going on now that we need to come back and do our thing. The Eternals, the Celestials, and all that stuff. So I have to believe that's because of the multiverse thing that's happening and leading up to this whole thing of the multiverse getting out of control and maybe destroying the universe, galaxies, whatever, all. So they have to be involved. And I'm wondering, you know, if Shang-Chi's just going to show up. It just seems proper because Eternals takes place all over the world. And I feel like that before No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2, they need to kind of get you to know Shang-Chi a little more. And remember when Captain Marvel came out, you saw her in a couple other things pretty quickly after that. And didn't you may have seen her in something right before that too. Maybe not. I can't remember now. I'm getting that all mixed up. But you saw her very quickly in some other things after that. And it just makes sense for them to start pushing Shang-Chi just a little more to make people really, really understand his importance. And you do understand his importance to the MCU after you've seen this movie, Shang-Chi. I mean, it's there and you realize it. And it's like, all right, I want him in there now. It's not one of those things that's like, oh, they're just pushing this guy in there to make more diversity. No, it actually works. Like, you want him in there. It's like Shang-Chi's a badass. So I'm just hoping that we see some more connection to that soon. I'm really hoping they see it in the Eternals, and I think it would make sense considering that the Eternals takes place in all over the world and all these different cultures. You see that in the trailer. So I just think it would make a lot of sense. Are they going to do it? I have no clue, no factual informations, nothing at all. It's just my little theories and what I would like to see. Some of my theories I feel strongly about. Some of them I'm kind of, all right, but I just feel that way. Also, in a little bit of movie news, switching gears now for a second, and then I'm going to kind of really keep going on the fall. We're going to talk about the fall preview or the fall movie schedule for the rest of the show. And in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and get on that, and then we'll talk, and what I was going to talk about, I'll incorporate with it. But look, the fall movie schedule is literally turning out to be so much better than the summer movie schedule. The summer movie schedule, if you think about it, was kind of bleak. It was just, ugh. You had Jungle Cruise, F9, Black Widow. Yeah, there's like Don't Breathe. There was some, I'm trying to think of one of the other, Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi was kind of after the summer. That was in September, you know? So yes, the COVID, excuse me, the C word, the Delta pandemic, all that stuff has taken its toll on all this, right? But I just think that this is going to be the best fall ever. It looks better than the summer, like way better than the summer. And look at some of these movies. So one that I'm really excited about coming out is Last Night in Soho. That one is Edgar Wright. I've talked about this, and it really looks interesting. It has just a very cool vibe about it. I'm not really sure exactly what it's about. I just know there's some time travel element, a girl that is weirdly and kind of quickly waking up one day when she goes to sleep one night, and she's in the 60s, but there's also this sort of haunted ghost / horror element to it. But I really don't know what to expect from this film. I think the trailers personally are making it look a little scarier than it might actually turn out being, but I still think it looks great. But not, and this is one of the shots from there, you know, it's definitely a little creepy looking there. And I've talked about this movie in the past, but we've got that coming out this Friday, or tomorrow technically, but I'll be seeing it Friday morning. We've got Malignant, the new James Wan movie. I mean, look, he's not the king of horror, but I like a lot of his concepts a lot of the time, and I like a lot of his movies. And apparently he said this is his version of a giallo film, which I'm sold. And you can already tell by the picture right here. It looks like it. This looks like what giallo covers look like. So that I'm really pumped up about that. I think that looks really good. And like I said, Conjuring, not super scary, but it is a good movie. But some of his stuff has been pretty jacked up in the past. Like I loved Insidious. Insidious was fantastic. And he, you know, original Saw, really good. I mean, come on. And I loved Aquaman. So I'm just excited about that. But then October 1st, we got No Time to Die. Now this movie's way overdue. Of course it is. I mean, look, I'm excited about it. I got, this way. I got it in the back over there, old Daniel boy. It's been way too long, buddy. It's time. Man. And look, that's the original poster that says April 2020. And I think I've talked about that before on the show, but I'm really hoping that that's worth something because, you know, it's a false poster, but it was printed by, you know, the company and everything. So that's just cool. I got it for cheap too. So we got that coming out. I'm super excited. That's going to be finalizing the whole storyline that we've had, starting off with Casino Royale, going through Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre. Now this one, No Time to Die. It's fitting that it's his last one and it's called No Time to Die. That's just ironic right there. I like that. The trailers do look good. And honestly, they look better and better to me. My buddy Asmaniac's not super excited about this. He said they really didn't do it for him. It could have something to do with this movie, you know, supposed to be, I think this is the longest pushed movie since the pandemic. This and Top Gun 2. I think that those are the two movies that have gotten pushed back the most since the pandemic or because of the pandemic. But that same month, we've got Halloween Kills coming out, which you all know that I'm super stoked about that. I mean, Halloween Kills, it's Michael Myers. And we're supposed to at any moment right now. And like I said, I could be getting some, I don't have any, I've got some stuff that should notify me when certain news comes up on my other computer over here, some alerts, but we should be getting the reviews and reactions of the first screening of Halloween Kills at a Venice Film Festival, which is going on right now. So today we should be getting like full on reaction to the finalized film. We had some reactions back, like right before the pandemic, but those were screenings that the company does to edit it down to make it a little bit more marketable. So like you can, if you have the right connections, you can go see screenings for films before they're even fully done, because they're trying to get a little bit of, they call them pre-screenings. They're trying to get a little bit of feedback to see, because sometimes they'll show those screenings and it's like the audience did not respond to this whatsoever. We got to re-edit. We got to really go this different direction or do what we were going to do prior. What we experimented with here didn't work. You know, there's all kinds of things that happen during screenings. That's just what we heard of before the pandemic. And those screenings, the pre-screenings, were already getting phenomenal reviews. People were saying it's like Halloween on acid. And so now today we'll be getting official reactions from the movie that we're all going to see. Nothing else is going to happen to this movie. No more editing, no more nothing. We're going to know what people are really feeling about this movie today as a whole, as far as the people who get to see, you know, the screening at that Venice Film Festival. That's exciting to me. We all know it takes place right after the first one did. And I say the first one, the 2018 one that took place after the original film from 78. Some people refer to it as Halloween H40, you know, because H2O was 20 years later. And now this one's 40 years later, or the 2018 was. So I'm pumped up about that. I have a lot of faith in this movie. David Gordon Green, he's just done he knows what he's doing in Hollywood. I like his vision, and I think he's just getting rolling. And the fact that he's based his career off of comedy/drama or dramedy stuff, but mostly has some comedy in there all the time. The fact that he was able to translate that over to the horror so well, which a lot of times that works. That's a common thing. Horror is directed by comedy directors and vice versa. But the fact that he did it so well just makes me have a lot of faith in this next one. And we've got Anthony Michael Hall in there playing Tommy Doyle. I mean, it's just going to be all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited. And it's Michael Myers. Come on. He's one of the big three. But not only would we have that coming out same month, right after, or you know what? I take that back, because they just No Time to Die is not October 1st. No Time to Die is October 8th. Halloween Kills is October 15th, but before that, it's Venom. That's right, because they moved Venom up to October 1st. So we've got Venom before all of that. So, I mean, look, already, think of those. That's a James Bond, a Michael Myers, and a Spider-Man movie, all within the same month, all within 15 days of each other. I mean, that is huge. It's like October, the biggest month, this biggest October ever in movie history. It has to be. I'm just really excited, guys. I mean, it's going to be great. And look, not only we got that, we got Ghostbusters Afterlife with Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard, man, Dan Aykroyd from what we can tell, and hopefully Bill Murray. And now the screenings have already happened for this at CinemaCon. They showed a full screening for this, and people were super, super pleased. The great reactions, a lot of good reviews, positive response. Everybody was pleased with it. It's another one that's been pushed back a bunch of times. And this is a big year for Sony too, because Sony has got Venom coming out. They've got Ghostbusters coming out, and we've got No Way Home coming out as well, which all three of those are huge Sony properties. So this could be a major year for Sony. It could be a major fall for Sony, but just a major year in general. But I'm really excited about Ghostbusters. I think it's the fact that it's directed by Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, who's already an acclaimed director. He's gotten all kinds of different awards for doing other films, and he made it on his own status. He didn't just like, oh, I'm daddy's little boy, I'm going to do Ghostbusters. No, he's doing Ghostbusters because it's his father's legacy. But on top of that, he was able to do it because of his resume that he's already created. So it isn't that daddy's little boy situation. It is because he had a great vision. He's going to do something well. Like, thank you for Smoking. That was a Jason Reitman film, and he's done some other ones. I just am drawing a blank. But okay, so right now, I'm just going to rehash just those films. We got Malignant. We got Last Night in Soho. We got Venom. We got No Time to Die. We got Halloween Kills. We got Ghostbusters. And guys, I'm not even halfway down the list yet. We got Dune. Oh my God. Dune is seriously, for some people in the literature world, it is their favorite book. Some people consider it to be as big as Star Wars, better than Star Wars as far as the legacy and the depth of the world and the story. But it's up there with people that, you know, love Tolkien. They read Lord of the Rings growing up. They probably read Dune. It's one of those stories. And Denis Villeneuve, who's doing it, I mean, he's a great visual director. I mean, you can just look at this and it speaks him. I'm super excited about it. The cast is crazy. It's cutting off Oscar Isaac on the side there, but obviously, you know, you got Jason Momoa, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Timothy Chalamet in the middle there. And that's just some of them. Still got Dave Bautista. There's so many other people that are in this movie. Again, pushed back, but they're going to make it happen. I'm just curious to see if they're going to do the HBO Max release. I can't remember if they said that they're fully not going to do that now for that, but I'm just curious if they're going to. I hope that they don't. I mean, I want to see it in the theaters, but that might be a situation. We'll see where we are at that point. I mean, it's changing every day right now just because of everything, hospitalizations and all that. I mean, schools, it really is a day-to-day basis with the pandemic. So we'll see. It could change. I hope it doesn't. So, but again, we got Dune. Then we got The Last Duel, the new Ridley Scott film. And excuse me, one of two new Ridley Scott films coming out. But this one's starring Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Jodie Comer, and Ben Affleck. Damon and Affleck back again. But not only are they starring in this, they wrote it. So they did the screenplay, and it's directed by Ridley Scott. You think that those two guys ever thought that, you know, when Ben Affleck was doing Clerks, Ben Affleck was doing Mallrats, and who knows what Matt Damon was doing, School Ties and stuff like that. You think they ever thought that they'd be writing a screenplay for Ridley Scott? I mean, that is badass. Good for you guys. It's amazing. But then Ridley Scott's got Last Duel coming out, and he's also got House of Gucci coming out. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And this is, you guys know about this one, Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Jeremy Irons, Al Pacino. And that's cool because you can tell that, you know, he's working with some of the same guys. Adam Driver's in both movies and main characters in both movies. So we've seen some pictures of that with Adam Driver and Lady Gaga right there. But I'm really excited to see this movie. That's a notorious story that we're all familiar with. But on top of that, another story along the same lines, we got The Many Saints Knew It coming out. The Sopranos prequel movie, which has got like Ray Liotta, John Bernthal, James Gandolfini's son. I mean, look, I got to say, if it was going to be a series, I was kind of okay on it, but I like the idea of the movie. I think the movie makes more sense to me, and I'm looking forward to it. And it is going to HBO Max and theaters at the same time. So we got that coming out. We got a new Resident Evil movie coming out. Welcome to Raccoon City, which is finally supposed to be true to the game, which excites me because I love those games. Huge Resident Evil fan. Have been from the start. Okay, we got that. Then we got Eternals. Holy shit. We got Eternals coming out, which Marvel's saying it's the best movie they've ever produced. Kevin Feige's saying that this is his Oscar movie. This is the Oscar movie that Marvel has finally produced, even more so than Black Panther. And I say that because Black Panther was nominated for an Oscar. But I'm excited to see what this is going to do for the franchise. I'm excited to see how it ties in. I'm excited to see the importance, and I'm excited to see the response to this movie by the public. On top of that, though, Matrix 4. Holy shit. We've already talked about that today. And then we got Spider-Man No Way Home. Are you kidding me? I can't believe all these movies. So look, and we did a whole trailer breakdown on Spider-Man No Way Home. So just to go through this real quick, we got Malignant. We got Last Night in Soho. We got No Time to Die. We got Halloween Kills. We got Venom Let There Be Carnage. We got Ghostbusters Afterlife. We got Dune. We got The Last Duel. We got House of Gucci, Many Saints in Newark, Resident Evil, The Almighty Eternals, The Matrix 4, and then Spider-Man No Way Home. I can't believe all those movies are coming out by the end of the year. It's going to be a great year, guys. That's all I got to say. For the rest of the year, like I said, this is summer 5.0 right here. But look, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining me every time. And also, if you weren't able to tune into the show, you can always tune in and send comments into BrassReelBobby@gmail.com. I'm always will respond to anything there, guys. I promise I want to get involved with everybody. Send it to me. Questions, things about movies, anything. Something you want me to discuss, all of it. Do it. I want to respond to it. With that being said, guys, love you with all my heart. Hit the subscribe button if you hadn't done so already. Help us make it to the top. And hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And look, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.